So the topic is mac and cheese production and really diving into the single stage fill or two stage fill and reviewing the pros and cons because there's two schools of thought. One is cooking all of the pasta and cheese sauce in one go versus cooking pasta and cheese sauce separately, and getting thoughts on that and any of the pros and cons.
Yeah, I think that there's a number of things to consider. Well, both sources. So let's take the dual stage first, which is the cook and chill your pasta and then put it into a tray or serving dish and then deposit the sauce on the top. So there's ideally you want to deposit the cold sauce on the top. So it means we cook and chill the pasta and we cook and chill the sauce. There's probably two major problems there. One is the cheese sauce is going to be a lot harder to decant and deposit because it's a lot thicker. But also, it doesn't present very well. So what I mean by that is that you would have your tray of pasta and then put your sauce on the top. And because it's now cold and it's really quite viscous, what it tends to do, it either sits on the top. It doesn't present very well that way. Or if you make the sauce a lot thinner and then you decant it on, it will still only run over the top. So once you now finish the process and seal the package and then serve it or reheat it, what you tend to get is an area in the middle where the pasta hasn't mingled with the sauce. So purely from a presentation point, that's one problem. And then another thing is if you deposit the hot sauce on the cold pasta, you're retherming the pasta and potentially overcooking it. You will get it mingle better with the sauce or mingle better with the pasta because it's a lot thinner. Then the other way is, do you try and sort of
like pre-mix?
Yeah, I mean, you could do it with hot pasta, hot pasta and hot sauce, deposit the two together. But then you've got the issue of cooling it.
Yeah.
And how you cool it from there on. So then there's some of the challenges with dual deposit. And then it's also how do you deposit the pasta? You know, that presents its own problems. I mean, that's somebody else's problem in a way because that's not our machinery.
Right.
But you still need to be accurately convey it onto the trays or whatever your serving dishes are. You need to actually weigh it and then portion it, if you like. Yeah, so portion control is going to be a lot harder. So that's some of the issues with dual depositing.
Got
it. The good thing is, if you're looking for an accurate pasta to sauce ratio, you're going to get it.
Right.
You're not going to end up with all sauce and no pasta, or all pasta and no sauce. So the second is less likely, actually, but you could end up with, if you combine the two in a kettle, for example, then you could end up with varying weights of pasta to sauce.
Yeah.
So then if we look at a single deposit, we've got a few options here. One is we can make the cheese sauce really thin, really quite wet, and then add the dry pasta to the cheese sauce.
Yep.
And then cook the pasta and sauce. Easily doable. Absolutely no problem at all. The problem is the pasta is going to take up all the moisture in the sauce. So getting that accurate, but that's just a case of recipe development, and how is the best way of doing that. And we do that really quite well. I don't want to mention any names, but we have companies that are doing that all in a kettle. Cheese sauce, add the pasta, dry pasta, and then cook it out. And then take it straight to the depositor and hot fill is probably the most common. And again, because of the viscosity. Once we chill that now, we've got chilled pasta, we've got chilled sauce, and it becomes a lot more difficult. Still pumpable. As long as it's pumpable, we can still do it. And then you go to the potential issue with getting the correct ratios of sauce to pasta.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the main reasons for that is because of the the start. If the sauce is particularly thin, then at the start the sauce will run away and then it starts putting the pasta through. So you might get some sort of separation in the pipe one because it comes from the kettle. That's a bit easier to control, but it's still a potential pitfall. Another way is cook chill and then deposit it cold. I guess one of the issues with that would be, depends how we cool it. We've got a number of options. Some of the issues that you might face with cooling are product degradation. So, the pasta becomes a lot, as it gets colder, it becomes more friable. So it has a tendency to break. It can cause shear damage just by over agitation. There's a number of issues, but they're all easily doable. And I guess it really comes down to what's best for the customer. Another option with the manufacturing, I've said about adding the pasta dry to the cheese sauce. You can actually pre-cook the pasta and add that to the sauce. Now you're not going to worry too much about your viscosity of the cheese sauce because you just add the cooked pasta to the sauce and then combine the two. And that could be where you add a cold pasta, cooked chilled pasta to a hot sauce, combine the two, and then deposit it. Or you could have a cold sauce, a cold pasta, and you could pre-blend it and then deposit it as a pre-blended mix. So, quite a few options.
Okay. Is there any one that is more beneficial than the other, in your professional opinion?
I think it comes down to, I think what's easiest is adding dry pasta to a cheese sauce.
Okay. And then depositing it along.
Yeah. It's nice and simple. It's just a bit more of an issue. Some people, and again, it comes down to personal choice at the end of the day of what they're trying to achieve with the mac cheese. I don't know. I think it comes down to choice at the end of the day. It really is. It's like, nobody's cheese, mac and cheese is as good as mum's mac and cheese.
Right.
Your version, my version. Easiest, simplest, definitely cook the dry pasta in the cheese sauce. Second favourite would be to add cooked pasta to the cheese sauce. And then you got a choice. You either deposit hot or cold. That comes down to the process more than anything.
Yeah, processing.
What they're doing with it after that.
Yep.
If they're going to hot deposit onto a tray, how do they then chill it? My least favourite, which you probably understood now, is that you dual deposit. Only because you've got two separate processes and the presentation. Yeah, and the pasta's got to be really dry as well, because if it's not really dry when you dual deposit, you'll get, as you put the sauce on, the sauce will tend to run over the top of the pasta. And then you'll get water in between the pasta. And when you present it again, the water will actually sit in the bottom of the tray. So, you know what I mean? Separate.
Yeah.
When you now retherm it, everything's great, and you just stir it up and it all combines and you got no problem. So, yeah.
A few more challenges with that one.
Yeah. That's my preference would be an all-in-one in the kettle.
Okay.
We do it really, really well. Really well. So.
Good. That's.
I don't know if that answers the. It probably throws up a lot more questions, but then that's what it's about. It's about, it comes down, like I say, personal preference, manufacturing techniques. If the processor has got a chilling line, how they're looking to prepare it, how they're looking to present it to the customer. Is it in a cereal tray? Do they want it to be a ready-to-eat meal?
Well, that's the kicker, is ready to eat versus frozen. Which are they going and what's their supply chain look like down the line to be able to handle it?
Yeah. But we can definitely do a hot deposit or a cold deposit. We could look at vacuum cooling. We could look at cooling in bags and the cook chill process and decanting from bags. I mean, that causes other potential issues of wastage, especially with a bag and that type of thing. But you can cool it in the DA cooler en masse, decant it, but it just becomes harder once it's cooled, because the viscosity increases. It just becomes harder to handle.
Yeah.
But it's still doable. And then you got the same problem if you then do a cold sauce, cold pasta. You combine the two in a blender. You still got the issue of how you handle it and get it to line. But it's still doable. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Perfect.